The good man's sin. Old Samuel was a kind man. He mended roofs, dug wells, and carried firewood for the weak. He never asked for coin, never turned away a plea for help. The villagers adored him. They called him St. Samuel the Redeemer. But Samuel was not a good man. Beneath his cottage, beneath the wooden floorboards where he knelt each night to pray, was a grave. And in that grave something waited, a debt of blood. No one knew why Samuel worked so hard to right the world's wrongs. Some whispered he was repenting for a dark past. Others believed he had once been a soldier, haunted by the men he had slain. The truth was far worse. He had murdered a child. Many years ago, when the village was younger, crueler, the boy had screamed, a high, piercing sound swallowed by the wind. Samuel's hands were steady, his knife hungry. The blood ran hot and bright, soaking deep into the roots of the earth. And the earth remembered. Samuel buried the body deep, but the guilt, that stayed. So he did good deeds, he built homes, he fed the hungry, he poured kindness into the world, hoping it would be enough. But kindness was not enough, not for the thing in the dirt, the ritual of redemption. For years Samuel followed the path of virtue, where every act of goodwill was carefully chosen, every kindness measured. He rebuilt the church's foundation. He saved a drowning child. He nursed the sick through the long winters. Each act, another step in the ritual, a ritual that none in the village would have recognized, a ritual of exchange, a trade. Because Samuel knew what was waiting beneath his house. He heard it at night, the soft scratching of fingernails against the floorboards, the whisper of dirt shifting. The boy was coming back, and Samuel was making sure he wouldn't be alone. The harvest festival. The night of the festival, the final piece fell into place. The entire village gathered in the square. Candles glowed warmly, laughter filled the air, and as the people sang his praises, thanking him for his endless generosity, the last word of the ritual was spoken. The ground split open. From the darkness beneath the village, they came crawling. The child Samuel had murdered stood at the center, its mouth stretched wide in an impossible grin, its hollow eyes fixed on him. But it was no longer alone. Dozens of rotting, screaming things dragged themselves from the dirt, the lost, the forgotten, the stolen souls buried long before the village ever had a name. The villagers screamed. Samuel watched. The child stepped toward him, its voice thin and wet. "You brought me back?" Samuel's lips trembled. I made it right." The thing tilted its head. "No." A rotting hand closed around Samuel's wrist. Another dug into his shoulder. The villagers were still running, still screaming, but Samuel had nowhere to go, because the dead had been waiting, and they were still so hungry.